And we're back. Welcome to St James's Pod, home of Newcastle United content. In this week's episode, we're discussing the Villa victory. We're looking ahead to Luton, and we're discussing the January transfer window. If you enjoy this episode, subscribe, follow the podcast, and hit the notification bell so you know when we're back. We'll be discussing all that after a quick word from this week's sponsor, Total Supplements. This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website, totalsupplements.co, to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes, and natural extracts. From popular sports supplements like whey protein, creatine, vitamin tablets, and powders, to mental health supplements such as nootropics and mushrooms, they've got you totally covered. They also have men's health collection offering testosterone support and beauty supplements to keep you looking like your absolute best. I personally use Total Supplements products, and I have been using them from before they came on board to sponsor the podcast, so I'm hugely excited to be partnering with a brand that I know and love. So whether you train hard, work hard, or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code stjames'pod, that's stjamespod, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St James's Pod sent you. Hello lads, back again. Alex, I'll come straight to you. Aston Villa away. How was it?
I mean, it was a surprise, I'll tell you that much. What a performance, what a result. I was going there thinking, give us a point, I'll take that, and I'll be taking that drive home and winning one. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think, Toon polls one up, the usual, match day one, saying, win, lose, draw. I think it's the only one that I've ever seen where it's, the majority is lose. You'd think from the Toon fan base, if that poll's going for lose, then we're pretty pessimistic about which chances. They hadn't lost in nearly a calendar year at home in the league, and then we go there and snatch 3 points, and not just snatch them, we completely deserved it based on the performance. Which, again, our performances recently haven't been much to write home about, but where do I start? From back to front, almost every player done a job, performed at a level we know they can, but they haven't been doing it for a long time now. But to see that that performance and the result, just you don't go to an away day to get a win, but fuck me, it makes such a difference when you're getting home at 2:30 in the morning, you've got graft in the morning, and you've got 3 pints in the bag. 3 pints? Fucking 3 pints and points in the bag.
It was definitely unexpected, but it just, especially when you look.
Saying it's unexpected, right? Didn't want to use tip 3-1. I'm sure. I know I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I'm sure I want to use tip 3-1.
That was for the Fulham game. I was going to try and.
I don't think I did. No.
Maybe. Mate, it was only last week we'd done it. Continue anyways, Paige. You interrupted the. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, unexpected, especially if you look at the performance against Fulham, and it's night and day in terms of. I know both were positive results in the end, but the performance against Fulham looked sluggish and not at our best, and Eddie admitted that in the post game, and then I would have thought it would have been something similar against Villa, but completely from the off, just wanted to get. We had the game plan, know about their high line, and executed every attack with that kind of precision that of getting behind them, and it was just fruitful near enough every time, and Villa just didn't seem to have an answer to, or even to try to counteract the fact that we were always just getting in behind, staying on side and breaking the lines. They just didn't want to change it from what it seemed. I know that's the way that they've gone about their way this season, and it's obviously been successful for them, like you said, almost up to a calendar year of playing that same way. But in-game management just wasn't there for them, and we've exploited that like brilliantly, I felt, and yeah, so many players that played their part in it. So yeah, great win.
Yeah, it's a great point about getting in behind straight away, because we were almost not even looking, just passing the ball on over the top, and we just knew that somebody would be there trying to run on the end of it. I made the point in the group chat as well about Miley looking way better on the left than he has, the left of the three. And he was getting in behind all the time as well. And they just didn't seem to track that run at all. Just getting in behind. It took a while to kind of make any real clear-cut chances from it, but eventually, obviously, it paid off. And yeah, I mean, what a result. And what was the atmosphere like those? Because obviously, the Fulham away, the few days before, Shearer had been in the crowd. So it was probably not going to compare to that. But was it a good away day all in? Or?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, obviously, the Fulham game has been given a lot of plaudits for like how good the fans were, and like when you watch it on the TV, yeah, it was like raucous. Obviously, I was there last night, so I wasn't quite sure how it sounded on TV, like how like the sort of Toon fans like were in like volume, because I feel like over the course of the game, it built up. It took a while to build up. Like literally, like first off, like well, like it was all right. Like don't get us wrong, but when we scored one, when we scored two, when we scored three, understandably the atmosphere got better and better each goal. And then the second half, it was fantastic. But like I want to say one point about the Villa crowd. It's genuinely one of the worst home like atmospheres I've ever heard. I've genuinely in any away game that I've been to, they were silent. Like, yeah, you can sort of understand like some like home games for us on a weeknight, like maybe against see it's against like usually against like worst, well in quotation marks opponents, like where we've got like the one that sticks in my mind was a Palace game where the crowd came in expecting to win. I know that was I think it was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, but the crowd came in like expecting to win, so the atmosphere was pretty poor and they weren't like up for it. That's the feeling that the Villa fans had. Like maybe they've got too used to winning or whatever, and they were a bit like nervous when we came out at them so quick. But like even like pre-match with the fucking light show and when it fucking started, that was hilarious. It was so fucking bad. The atmosphere generally, like the whole game was fucking shocking. Like genuinely shocking. You only heard them. Like the first time we heard them really was when Watkins scored that second goal in the second half, which was disallowed. Yeah. That's the first time you fucking heard them. And like they were like that like helped pick them up a little bit for the next like 5-10 minutes. And then by the time it got to sort of 80-85 minutes, they were all fucking gone by then. So yeah, how did it sound on TV, Sam? Like the sort of home away fans or whatever?
It sounded alright, to be fair. Like you could hear our fans giving them stick. Like the main thing you could hear on the TV was your support is fucking shit. Oh, so yeah, I wasn't surprised by them comments you just made there. But yeah, I think the crowd, from what you're saying, kind of reflects how all of us were kind of feeling, because going into the game, obviously, as you say, no one was really expecting a win, so quite nervous. And then even though we're playing well, it took a while to feel like confident we were actually going to get something out of the game. And then even towards the end, when they got that goal back, even though we're still 3-1 up, I think the players felt the same as well from the way they started playing.
Yeah.
It's like everyone started shitting themselves.
Honestly, we're completely
shitting throw it away again. But hopefully it's a good thing, because I feel like it's the away form's obviously picked up last 3 we've won. And it's going to be confidence as well as the other factors of fitness and like time between games and stuff. But now, obviously, winning breeds winning, so we'll have that confidence. And I think holding on to the win as well, the way that we did, hopefully, like next time we're in that situation, we won't be as nervous, because we've obviously like let a few leads go, or even like a draw we've ended up losing. So that's probably just in our minds, and now we can move forward and get back at the confidence we had last season, I think. Tom, for you, looking into the game, who was your standout performer? Who would you said deserved the man of the match award?
Well, I think Gordon was just brilliant. Like, again, just back to the point of, I mean, yeah, there was obviously a few players who were making these like key passes into him, but I just felt like, yeah, he looked back to his dangerous best. Like, and I know he had to shift over and operate centrally when Isak went off injured, but he was just floating around and picking up like, little pockets of space and moving all across the front three. And it was, I just felt, yeah, I know he had opportunities. The second goal obviously came from a brilliant like first time hit, just like kind of bouncing up off the floor on the half volley and like just yeah, unlucky with that it didn't end up going in directly, coming off the bar. But yeah, he had a couple of efforts that he tried to curl it in. He sometimes was operating a little bit like on his own, but still managing to wriggle away from defenders and get a chance sort of created. So yeah, for me, he was very key. Obviously, my boy Jacob Murphy had a very he contributed well as well with
he had a good game as well.
With good crosses. Like, yeah, always looking to stretch the play. And obviously Fabian Schär was I think given like man of the match like officially with his 2 goals and
yeah, I mean you score 2 from centre half. You're gonna get man of the match. Aren't you?
He was one that fair as well,
didn't he?
Well, yeah, it wasn't just the goals as well, like because there was a key block. I think it was as well when it was at 2-0, which yeah, again
Off the line, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, he was here, there, and everywhere. Like, and I mean, we know what when he's in that sort of form, and that it seemed as though like the defense, apart from I don't know, Dan Burn had another tricky game, especially when they had. I mean, they've got tricky wingers as it is, but I think when Bailey came on, like there was, it looked like Burn was struggling a touch, but Eddie did make the change, and it sort of like sorted itself out a little bit. I felt after he made that change, but
I think part of that was also due to Almiron being in front of him on the left, which is obviously not his normal position. But yeah, Eddie made the changes and made the formation change as well, which was interesting to see for kind of the first time in the league this season. Anyway, Alex, what did you think towards the highlights of which player do you think stood out the most?
For me, Bruno was unbelievable. Like on the ball, off the ball, like he was fucking everywhere. Like I had a look after the game because I was curious to see how many times he'd been fouled. He'd been fouled 6 times in the game. Like they were kicking the fuck out of him, and like they weren't just little trips; they were kicking the fuck out of him. And he was just fucking late. Like you can waste like a little bit of time, 30 seconds or whatever, staying down, get back up and carry on. He was fucking tremendous in the tackle. Like the amount of tackles he must have won, he was always there, always putting a foot in. And then his balls over the top, like absolutely phenomenal again. Sprayed one, I remember, left to right. I think found Trippier, phenomenal ball. Put one over the top to Gordon. Like we gave him too much space. I think there's sometimes he just collected off the centre half, and I don't know why, but they weren't pressing like us too high. Like they weren't aggressive with the press at all. So they're giving him a lot of time on the ball. Like you pinged one over to Gordon, which was like fucking perfect.
Yeah, interesting you say that. It's odd because it's odd that you play such a high line to then not press. Like, why would you play such a high line then if you're not going to press the and squeeze us as much in our own half as you possibly could? You're just then leaving yourself so exposed, which obviously turned out like in our favour multiple times over. So yeah, an interesting point you make there, like why they weren't, whether or not it was energy levels, because they obviously played the same and near enough the same 11, I think, that started the Chelsea FA Cup game. I know we started with the same team for that had played against Fulham, but maybe our energy levels for once this season seemed like above the opposition, because it's just crazy that they didn't press as much as you'd have expected.
Especially when, like, the players that we've got up front, like, all of them are absolutely fucking rapid. Like, Murphy, Gordon, Isak, and Miggy when he comes on. And it's like they didn't learn. First off, like, Gordon got in behind Matty Cash a few times, either running at him one-on-one or the ball being played behind. And I said he just doesn't want to fucking know. He looked uncomfortable. He looked like when the ball was coming over his head, he didn't know whether to try and head out to clear it. Like, obviously they're encouraged to play it out, like, at all times. Like, and he just did not look comfortable. And when Isak went off, I was like, fuck me. Like, Gordon's giving him like a terrible day here. He's had to be shifted into the centre. But to be fair to Miggy, when he came on, he also done a job on him. So, no, like, it. And also, like, I know Emery's had all the plaudits this season. He didn't change it up till very late on. And it seemed apparent from minute one that the high line and the lack of, like, pressing our players was giving us so much time to pick up all in behind, and he didn't change it. And to be fair, like, obviously the goals we scored in the first half were both from set pieces, both from corners. But I think we're unlucky not to score from open play in the first half as well. We had like 9 shots in the first half to their 1. Like, it was apart from like that
Gordon
Diaby
chance
1-1.
that was so close.
Oh, there was a couple of times. Like, especially like when they're scrambling around the box and like they're making last ditch tackles, and Martinez like made a few good saves as well. Like, he's clearly a top fucking keeper. But and then I think
Such a dick,
Miley. He is, but he's one of those where, like, if he's on your team, you fucking love him.
Oh yeah,
like,
he falls into that
like,
category. Yeah.
But like, a special shout out to Miley, because I thought he was brilliant as well. Again, tackling like fantastic. His energy levels for the first sort of half an hour were like fantastic. And I was saying to Pete, like, him and Bruno in a fucking race, it's like the fucking running streak of both of them.
There was a min when you started talking about Bruno before. There was a min point.
I know what you could have said.
Him and Longstaff were running like next to each other, sprinting back. Someone was coming down the left on.
Trick was out of position, wasn't he?
And Bruno is funny as well because he's trying his hardest, but he looks so funny when he's like sprinting trying to get back and he's just not moving anywhere. And then Longstaff's just
he's running like
he's
got a stone in his boot. Like, he's almost like limping when he's running. Like, it's so fucking slow.
Like he's shit himself, I
think. Fucking hell. Brutal on the lad.
Too many Kinder Buenos before the game.
Well, that's it. I seen Twitter posted, the Newcastle Twitter posted out well-deserved Kinder for Bruno tonight or whatever because of his heat map. So it just goes to show what you were saying. Like, he was everywhere. And a great game after a poor game against Fulham, really. So, and like you say, like when Bruno plays well, we play well generally. So yeah, It was interesting actually. Before the game, I thought we'd probably struggle in midfield because they've got quite a good midfield, Villa, but we just dominated that battle. And yeah, when we're just mentioning Isak there, kind of brings us nicely into the transfer window, closing in 4 or 5 hours now. Obviously,
isn't it tomorrow?
It's Feb 1st is the 11 p.m. on Feb 1st, I believe.
So we've got 26 hours or something.
Hours.
Let me double check. It might not be 11 p.m. but
no, I'm sure it's like 10, 11 p.m. tomorrow night, something like that.
That's all right. It's Feb 1st where I am, so I'm going to claim that's why I got that. But
let us know what the Liverpool Chelsea score is. I need to put a bet on. Let us know the final score.
But yeah, so Isak's now injured. You were just saying before, Luke Edwards is saying 2 to 4 weeks, but it's too early to know, so that's probably just a wild guess. But we now have 0 fit strikers.
Aye.
And it doesn't look like anyone's going to be leaving.
No.
Trippier thing with buy-ins all wrapped up. The Miggy stuff was probably all dead because the Saudi window is shut.
Mm.
I'm saying that, looking at you both to make sure I'm correct on that one.
Yes, that's shut last
yeah.
night. Aye.
And yeah, so unless we let somebody go, we're probably not getting somebody in. So yeah, it looks like we're going to be going into the Luton game without a fit striker, and potentially maybe the next game after that. But Wilson's tipped to be back soon, but it just puts the pressure on him again straight away. And this is one of the reasons why we've had so many injuries with them too. Is like they're all right when they're sharing the load, but when they've got to play 90 minutes for a period of time, they both just seem to go down eventually. So, what you thinking in terms of why aren't we busting a gut to get even a lone striker in?
Well, yeah, this just brings back a point of I mean, we were linked with Breuer. I think he could have been a perfect stopgap, but obviously Chelsea don't want a loan. They just want a straight sell, and they're looking for silly money for him. But he'd have fitted the mould pretty well, I'd have thought. It's concerning because I don't think... I mean, yeah, hopefully it is just a couple of weeks, or maybe just the odd 2 games or so that we're going to have to play Gordon as the central striker. Obviously, I've mentioned that he did okay, and I was impressed with him in the Villa game, but that's like an in-game situation. But to start him in that position,
I mean, he played there, didn't he, for the Euros?
He did, but I'm just
if it was more of a false 9 or what, because I didn't actually watch it.
Yeah, no, I just think if we're gonna try and play like into feet with him, it's not going to work. And obviously, we do try and play into feet with Wilson and Isak, like when they're fit. So, like, how are we going to change our like style of trying to incorporate him? And not every team's going to play like a high line to exploit his pace in behind like Villa did. So like I imagine Luton at the weekend they're going to be fairly deep. So it's then like how are we going to be able to utilise all of his better qualities, which are obviously better out on the wing. There's no other real option, is there, to put anybody else in that position. So, yeah, little concerned about how we're gonna, and luckily enough, I say lucky enough that it's Luton that we're coming up against, but they've just spanked Brighton, and
don't be saying that.
and yeah, they're turning the corner, and obviously already beaten us this season. So, yeah, so there's it's just going to be one of them where I'm going to be really interested to see how Eddie's like going to manage that situation and how we change the way we approach the attacking third from the off.
Yeah, well, there's obviously the rumoured other option due to where he played in the youth system of Loris Karius playing up front.
I thought he was coming on at one point, to be fair. Not quite up front, like, but he's warming up a couple of times, I'm sure.
Took a big hit.
That was another worry, wasn't it? Fucking.
Oh, I thought he was going off when he went down the second time.
Down to one keeper. Hopefully he's all right, because obviously he made it through the game, but you don't know if once he stops it's going to seize up or what. But there's not been any news come out on that one, so touch.
What actually was it? Obviously I see him go down, but I don't know what.
He clattered into. It was either Ollie Watkins or was it Cher or Botman? Either one of our players or Ollie Watkins.
I think it was Watkins and Cher, I think, that were like, and he was in the vicinity, obviously trying to close Watkins down, and then I would think Watkins probably was the one who kind of clattered into him the most, and they were trying to claim for a penalty, which was absurd. But I think that was probably it. But if anything, it was just looked more like an impact injury, and I don't think there's going to be anything more than that really for Saturday's game. But yeah, it's obviously just it's a concern because I'm just like, I don't even know if we've got any like youth options now, like to even throw on the bench who could be classified as like a central striker. I think we've even loaned out most of those guys as well. So we are literally down to if Gordon or somebody else goes off in that game, the Luton game. Yeah, we're really struggling.
Ben Parkinson's not still knocking about, because I'm sure he's came on as a striker against the Chelsea game when we were 3-0 up. So I think he's not went out on loan by the looks of it. So I think he's probably. I mean, was he even on the bench? Like,
no, he wasn't on the bench. It was Joe White and Travis Hearns who were on the bench for last night's game. So, and I think, well, yeah, both of them are more central midfield. So, maybe we do see him back on the bench, but yeah, obviously he seems very reluctant to throw them in unless it's looking like a comfortable result, like the Chelsea game, for example.
There hasn't been any sign of Alfie Harrison yet either. And I think from the press conference where he was asked about him, it was more Dan Ashworth signing.
It seems like it's one of those for the future, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he's in the plans, especially this season for the first team. So, I mean, that might change, obviously, if he comes into training and he's wicked. But
yeah, obviously we're agreed the deal, but it hasn't been like confirmed and finalised yet.
Yeah, I was going to say I've not seen any official stuff.
Yeah.
What's this? What Fabrizio Romano has said? Yeah, he's just signed the formal documents.
All right. Well, if he's actually signed a formal document, because obviously his contract being up at the end of the season, that would indicate that it is, well, pretty much done.
Yeah, it looks like he's on a deal.
I think there was a post on the website about him.
Yeah, but don't think we'll see him making an appearance on the bench then, by the sounds of what you're saying, on Saturday.
Well, as I say, I think it was more like Eddie hadn't really discussed or looked at him or whatever. Like, maybe with youth players, he's not as concerned about it, and he'll just take a look at them once they come into the club. But obviously, he could come in and he might go straight into first team training if we haven't got many forward options, because he's more of a number 10 that, you know, you might be able to put him up front for training just because you need the body, seeing as we've got no strikers. And then he might look all right, so might get on the bench. But yes, I mean, I'm clutching at straws a bit here. Anything else in the transfer news? I know that player we were kind of linked with, Nusa, obviously seemed to be going to Brentford, and then you were just saying before Tommy's failed his medical. So
yeah, I'm not sure if this. I'm not sure if they're still trying to renegotiate the deal now. Maybe trying to get him for a bit cheaper because of some. I mean, for an 18-year-old to then have like medical issues, that's a bit of a red flag. So yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is, but I think if anything, they were looking at maybe just loaning him back out to Bruges for the rest of the season as part of the original deal. So it wasn't like he was somebody who was going to come in and immediately make an impact at Brentford. But yeah, obviously a big transfer fee was, or reasonably high transfer fee of 25 million was being discussed. So I'm not sure if that one will go ahead or not. But yeah, it's gonna. I don't know if it's just all typically gonna come to deadline day, and like it always seems to do, like nothing happens for a whole month, and then we get a load of last minute panic signings. But yeah, at least from a Toon perspective, I don't think that we're in that mode or mood to even entertain any last minute panic buys on deadline day.
I think Sky Sports having a bit of a mare because no one's buying, no one can buy. So usually at this time of year, they'll be flapping about transfer deadline day when actually fuck all's going to happen. Like you think it'd be a bit of a waste if had like reporters at every ground like they had in the past. Because there's going to be nothing to report on, let's be honest. Like Newcastle is definitely going to be the case. So we're just going to have to deal with it, I guess. It was rumoured that Wilson's going to be back for the bench on Saturday, so if he can come on for the last like half an hour and then build his fitness up that way, then that's what we're going to have to do. Like one of those.
All right, well, let's talk about Luton then. So obviously Luton are coming off the back of that 4-0 win against Brighton. How much can we take from that result? Because for me, I feel like Brighton are one of them teams that every now and again they just don't show up and they'll get spanked. Is it a case of it's just one of them, or are Luton finding their feet in the Premier League, do you think, Tom?
Well, the home form's been obviously the key factor for them. So I think they've made Kenilworth Road a fortress, and I think that would have been a factor. Certain teams just, like you say, don't turn up at that place. Even the big teams like Liverpool and have struggled, and I think Arsenal had to grab a last minute winner in their game there as well. Obviously, we've lost there already this season, so it could have just been one of them off days from a Brighton perspective. But the way that Luton capitalised on every opportunity, Adebayo getting a hat trick, like that's major confidence for a striker to get his first Premier League hat trick on the eve of this game as well, which obviously is a little concerning. But I feel like though, and I'll stand by it, that the game that we had against them, Kenilworth, just came at the wrong time, like for us, and give us the sort of opportunity to have the fresh legs that we've had in the last few games, but put it back then when we had that game, I think we would have won against them. Like it was just one of them days where we just didn't have the legs, and we're just in a bad patch. So I'm not gonna go into this one with any major concerns. I know obviously we've discussed the injury issue with up front as strikers, but I think there's enough players in other positions as well that can really cause Luton problems, and their form on the road has been a little bit poor as well. So I'm feeling, despite their big win, not as concerned as some might think.
Yeah, obviously Kenilworth Road has that big factor, doesn't it? Like a close ground, and they've got a lot of good results there this season. So I'm not saying that we should have lost this and that. On paper, we have a better squad than them. So did Brighton, and they got slapped silly. I think it was, as you said, you put it down to one of those that were in a bad run of form. If we played away against any team that day, we would have lost to any of them. Not that I'm not giving Luton credit, because they thoroughly deserve the win, and they played us off the park that day. I just think Saturday will be a different game. I think we'll have a lot of the ball, which, obviously you can say the same against Brighton. Brighton had a lot of the ball and obviously capitalised on the chances there. But you'd think with the St James' Park crowd going after these last couple of wins, hopefully, if we can repeat the performance or anything close to the performance we had against Villa, then we should have enough quality to see we're through, despite not having a recognised striker fit at the start. I doubt, anyways, unless Wilson miraculously fucking pops up. But the fact that he didn't even make the bench against Villa pretty much confirms that he won't start 3-4 days later or whatever it is.
Yeah, be interesting to know if how much time we'll have on the training pitch to kind of get used to playing with Gordon up front, because you'd imagine, like you were saying, obviously he's a different type of player than what we used to playing with up front. So you'd imagine we'd try and go for something slightly different and work on some different tactics to play with him up front. So if we can get on the pitch and train with him, I think we can get out there and use him to his best. So I'm feeling quite confident going into this one. And it could come down to set pieces again, which is obviously a bit more of a lottery whether, this season, whether we actually score from them or not. But we obviously scored from 2 in the Villa game, so I don't know whether that means we've used up our goals from set pieces.
Well, to be fair, Burn got his one as well in the Fulham game from a set piece. So I found it interesting, that we went a little bit, we've tried doing a few set pieces which are a little different, sort of just either hitting it slightly long and looking for a defender to head it back into the mixer, and we've tried some alternative stuff. I know I think Tyndall's the one who's always on the set piece duties in the training and getting them up. But then it was the ones that Trippier put in against Villa, especially for the first goal, was just straightforward, right on the the money and in the middle, nothing special about it, and simplicity of it paid off. And so maybe we are kind of getting slightly back to Trippier getting back to his better delivery.
When we've got fucking big lads who can score goals, I think the first corner we had against Villa, we played a short corner and it ended up going back to the fucking the players who were on the halfway line, and honestly the sigh from the away end was ridiculous, because it's just such a fucking waste. When Botman is good in the air, Shea is good in the air, Dan Burn is getting better in the air. Why would he not just height in the fucking box? Especially with Trippier's delivery, height into an area, around the fucking 6-yard box, pen spot, that kind of area, and we're gonna have a chance. We've shown repeatedly that defenders score. Last season, it was the same. Defenders contributed a lot of goals when the strikers weren't stepping up or injured or this or that. So it just seems I know Luton are a big, strong team and they tend to get a lot of corners as well in a game. But then again, so did Villa, and we defended them very well, I thought. I thought Botman deserves a little mention as well, because they seemed out of ideas in the first half. And the amount of times they lofted the ball up to Watkins, and Watkins was fucking strong. You could see they're having a battle all game. Yeah. And he just seemed to hold his own, enough. Even with a Watkins, who's a more experienced striker, he knows the league better, and he's in the best form of his career. And Botman had a really fucking good battle with him, and that gives a bit of confidence that if you high him up against a Luton player who I think Alfie Dougherty's got the most crosses in the league or something like that he will be able to defend those. And generally, I think we are pretty good at defending the balls in, as long as Trippier doesn't let them get over his head. Which again in the Villa game, there was a few of those that went to drop over his head, and he just fucking let them. He just played it safe. He either headed out for a corner or headed out for a throw, and he just didn't take any risks. So it was good to see that it's not the end of the world giving them another corner. It's not it's not a free kick on the edge of the box. It's not a penalty. It's just one of these things where it's going to be less dangerous to concede that than trying to fuck around, taking it down, or heading back the keeper. And I think if we have our head screwed on, don't make any stupid mistakes, hopefully it'll be a bit of a more straightforward game on Saturday.
Well,
it's just no, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to just back to that point. Yeah, it's getting it back to just being plain simple. Like you've mentioned there, the amount of times like in the games that we've harked on about where we've tried to overplay things and just been the maker of our own downfall. Like the simple stuff works. Simple defending like is doing wonders. Like just safety first, and then simple in terms of like the where we're choosing to play the ball in from set pieces and putting it, like you say, in an area to cause defenders, their defenders to have to do something, or the keeper having to react, and it just shows like and having instinctive defenders like Fabian Schär, like who capitalized on two opportunities which were like down to just being in the right place, right time. Like that's just what we need right now, and I think that could be another factor in this game against Luton. Just keep it simple against them. And I think more times than not, we've got the extra edge over them with the quality of players we've got to get the result.
I think we might like struggle breaking them down though, because it will be a different game, like where they're not going to have space in behind. We're not going to be able to put the ball over the top a lot, and we usually seem to struggle when teams play a deep defensive line, a low block, if you want to call it that. Like to have that creativity to like make something when they are defending the box with almost like 10 men, if you know what I mean.
True. I suppose Burnley did that, didn't they? In the game earlier in the season, and it took a while, and we rode our luck a touch in that game at the start, but then we ultimately came out on top deservedly. But yeah, I think that's probably, and again, they're a newly promoted side, so it's easy to make those comparisons like that between a Burnley and a Luton in terms of how they're going to approach a game at St James's. But that's I think the one that we can look at and that approach and try and just improve slightly on how we fared in that game against Burnley, just to be more comfortable with getting through their low block.
I was just wondering there as well, do you think there's a chance we might see the 3 forward players rotate a bit throughout the game as well? Because it's going to have to be Miggy, Gordon, Murphy. But whether we see Miggy on the left again, or if you'll go for Murphy left, Miggy right, so that Miggy's more in his natural position. And then I was just thinking, maybe we do see Gordon flow back to the left or the right, and then maybe he's mentioned before, I'm sure, that Jacob Murphy can play through the centre. And then you can also have Miggy as more of a kind of false nine as well, just to keep the defenders guessing. And seeing as we don't have a registered striker, do you think there's a chance we might see that? Or do you think we'll just stick with Gordon and really like have a game plan for how to play with Gordon up top and just drill that for the full 90 minutes?
I think we're starting to see a few little, like you mentioned it, Sam, earlier in the Villa game, like towards the end, we did see Eddie make those in-game tweaks, like, and we've obviously called out for some of that to happen more often this season in other games. But I think you're right. We'll start probably with the Gordon in the middle, and then if things are like needing to or the matchups seem to be favouring, if we switch it up a little bit, if we want to see a a weakness in the Luton defence during the game, like you mentioned, that Doughty, is he a he's fullback, isn't he?
He's a fullback, yeah.
Yeah, but he plays so high, like he's so like attacking minded. So it's do we look to try and like get that way in behind him, and do we then switch it up and put Gordon's pace out there in game and move it around slightly. Potentially we'll see some of that, but yeah, I don't imagine he's going to surprise us completely with putting War Jacob through the middle. That would that would. I mean, I'd love to see it, but
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably start the same way that we finished the game against Villa with like Miggy on the left and Murphy on the right, because they're both shown that when they cross the ball in, like, it is dangerous. Like, they can both fizz that ball across the 6-yard box. Murphy had another good one against Villa where it fizzed across, and Gordon very nearly got on the end of it if it wasn't for such a really good defensive tackle. I don't know if it was Cash who was out with him. Can't remember if
I think you're right.
Out there. But yeah, like, both could have easily had assists for each other for that, and I think we will change it in game, because you've seen that happen obviously with us with Gordon, and he's like obviously done it for a little bit in the Villa game. Yeah. They've done it in other games as well, but Eddie clearly likes the inverted wingers. He likes the opposite foot to which side you're on. So I'd probably expect to see us try and mix it up and just try and keep it fresh against Burnley if we're like out of ideas for a bit after like 20 minutes. Just flip it over and see if we get a bit more joy that way. Just literally trying to stop Burnley being comfortable more than anything else.
Yeah,
like there's probably not worse when you're in a game and they've got like a fluid like front three and you don't know which man you're tracking. Like, you'll pulling defenders across, or you're passing them on, or maybe like your defender doesn't know you're passing it on and stuff like that. So, and then you've got fucking Miley running in behind you, like in the gap, and then long stuff on the other side. So, as we've been for a long time now, we can only play the players that are faced. So, like, there's no players, there's no question of like who we're playing. We're not going to be starting Matt Ritchie, so it's going to be those front three, and I can't see any other way than going through the centre, going into the game anyways.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing is like the way we literally finished the Villa game was like a back five on it.
But to be fair, right, when we were under pressure, I really liked it, because obviously Watkins got the goal and then very quickly got in behind and got the second disallowed goal, and we looked at like complete 6s and 7s there. Like, Bailey was looking good, and as soon as I seen Tino coming on, probably 90% of the crowd was thinking, "Oh, Burns coming off like class, like he's not had a great game." They clearly they targeted him all game. They got the ball in behind him. They were like pummeling that ball like down the right hand side the full game. And there was a few times he got caught on the turn. So I think a lot of people thought that he was coming off. But then when Eddie made the sub, it sort of dawned, like, yeah, actually, Miley is looking pretty fucking leggy. Like, he was looking like he needed to like be taken off for a rest. But not only that, like, we couldn't get the foot on the ball. Like, it seemed like wave after wave at that moment. And having that extra man, just give her what... It doesn't make sense how, because we've got the same amount of men. But it seemed to give her that extra man to pass it out to. And like Trippier seemed to get more space, and Tino seemed to get more space, being able to like pass it out and retain the ball. And we actually did retain the ball like quite decently, considering they were like pushing for a goal, and you'd expect them to have pretty much all the ball at this point. There was passages of play where we had the ball for a couple of minutes, and like it just takes the pressure off when you can have that, and it's not just like fucking attack after attack after attack.
Yeah.
So I think tactically, like it worked really well, just to not only show up the defense, but keep on the ball like in possession at the same time. But I just can't see him starting like that. Like, I can't.
No,
the fact that like when we play it anyways, we generally play a three at the back, and Trippier plays like on the halfway line, and Dan Burn tucks in a lot. I just can't see we're starting with the three centre backs. It seems to take like a man out of the centre midfield that way. And I think, I can't see it happening anyways. But yeah, I'd expect to see probably the bar. Lewis Hall obviously came on for a little cameo at the end. I'd expect to see pretty much the team that ended the Villa game start against Luton again, because they've got no other options. Even if we wanted bar, maybe Tino coming in for Burn. What do you reckon about that? Do you reckon there's a chance Burn gets dropped?
No.
At home, he seems settled with like, but I mean, yeah, he's home and away. Like he has been playing, but like even more so, like I think more comfortable with Burn being in there. Just even for his voice leadership, he obviously loves playing at St James's. Like, but I don't know, unless we're like, yeah, we're really struggling to break them down, and we need the extra paciness of like an overlapping fullback to throw Tino on later in the game. To do that, yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him start, and I think it's pretty much the same 11 bar the Isak.
Yeah, I think with the strength that Luton have in their team, and then obviously we're talking about set pieces earlier, I think we'll definitely see Dan Burn start. But the big question, what's the score going to be?
Who?
Prediction time.
Wait, so
I'm going to go...
Did you check if what we'd predicted for Villa?
Oh, we didn't do a pod for Villa, so...
Oh, of course.
Like I said, I predicted 3-1 for Fulham, and then...
that was in my mind, of course.
Sorry. Yeah, no. Let's just say that we predicted 3-1 for Villa.
Yeah, I wouldn't have predicted a win, I'm not going to lie.
No, not a chance. Luton then, right. I'll kick off.
I'll go on then.
Oh, well, you seem very confident, so now I'll let you go in.
I'm going to say 2-0. Clean sheet, couple of goals. I don't think we'll score too many because of not having a striker, but I think we can get 2.
That was what I was going to go for, so I'm just going to have to go one more and just say 3-0. Yeah, same reasons, I think, in terms of like the not going to be conceding. I think we're going to look back to our defensive solid best as we have really in the last couple of games, and yeah,
it's funny how like all three are going to pick 2-0.
Yeah,
you can still take it. It doesn't matter that hard though.
No, I was thinking 1-0, 2-0. Like, I think it is going to be a tight game. I think they are going to be tough to break down, and it's just I could well see this going in and like 0-0 at half time. Like, are they going to be like? The thing is, we can't get caught in the corner, but I don't think it will. I'm going to go with 1-0.
They did score 4 in the last game.
They did. They did. But then Brighton, I think, have kept like 2 clean sheets all season or something like that. So there's one team to score a couple against.
They score 4 goals the last game, and then we're all thinking, yeah, we'll keep a clean sheet. Knee bother.
They are different beasts at home. Like, they are different beasts at home.
Oh,
the
we
are.
Very much like us.
Well.
We are and they are.
Yeah.
Right, they clearly cannot score, so they're not. Tatey's us like.
Wait, can we have an update on if any of us have had a right prediction?
I had one, maybe.
There's been some right across the season, but
not many
recently.
Or Sedorsa's leading the way?
I don't think I am.
No, I think I got one, and Dorse got one. So it's just you're losing.
Oh, hey. No. How 3-0? Come on. How are the boys?
Not taken, to be honest.
Just a bit.
Yeah, if you guys have got your predictions in, let us know at St James'pod on social media, or you can leave a comment on this. I might put a poll on the Spotify one as well. Get your predictions in for the game. Be interested to see what everyone else is thinking. But yeah, I guess we'll be back to review the game and look ahead to Forest away. So these are obviously these fixtures that we said a little while ago that on paper we should be.
We lost all 3 of them. All 3 fixtures we got next. We lost all 3 in the reverse. So
that just means we need a bit of revenge.
We're on a vengeance mission. Yep.
So come back and listen to us talk about the vengeance that we've displaying against these teams. And yeah, like Eddie said not so long ago, there's still all to play for this season. We're still looking ahead in the Premier League, looking above us, and we are catching some people now. So we'll be back next week. Join us for that one.